Can you believe it? Rome is going to
Well,
fall.
the emperors will save us. They always save
They
us.
can't save us from themselves.
What are we going to do?
Well, I just know they better not run out of wine. There's so many things I don't understand.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, and you. Lend me your ears, for I bring you revelation about the Regal mystery movie that played in the amphitheater on the 18th of November in the year 2024 AD. The gods blessed us that day and revealed the film to be the fantasy epic Gladiator the Second. After his home is conquered by the tyrannical twin emperors who now lead Rome, Lucius is forced into servitude. His heart seeks revenge on the general who led the attack against his people, and he enters the Colosseum as a gladiator. This leads to him unexpectedly reconnecting with his long-forgotten past, transforming his desire for revenge into a political revolution for the Roman Empire and her people.
Rated R.
I want to start this review by saying I did not see the original Gladiator from the year 2000 before seeing this one. I did, however, find a copy of it and watch it the next day. So this review is going to focus more on the second film as a standalone movie. And then at the end, I'll go ahead and compare the two. So let's jump in. This movie has a nice mix of current trendy actors and also more well-established ones. Paul Mescal plays Lucius, our main character. Paul plays him very stoic, to a fault. There were many scenes I felt needed way more emotion, but Lucius was just so stone-faced. I will say that he definitely has the look, though. Very strong Greco-Roman features. His physicality is also great. I just think he did a lot of staring whenever he wasn't in combat. Denzel Washington plays Macrinus, a type of slave gladiator power broker. Denzel gives a rather uneven performance. Oftentimes he gives you his traditional Denzel charisma, but then other times it's the staring game all over again. Now, a lot of people are going to talk about this, but he also speaks with a partly New York American accent throughout the film, which is really bizarre considering that New York didn't exist for another 1,400 years. I know that Hollywood tends to romanticize the Roman times by giving everybody a British accent of some sort, but just the idea of this American accent doesn't really fit well with everything else. Now, Denzel would also do this weird code switch whenever he implied that his character was also attracted to men. This might just be something that I noticed as a gay man, though. Now, homosexuality was more of a regular thing in the Romans' lives. But Denzel would immediately feminize his performance. You know, flitting the wrist,
Yes, queen!
sissying that walk, and just changing his inflection. Now, you could say that his character felt more comfortable in these scenes to be more themselves. But then that would mean his character was also pretending the other 90% of the film. To me, it just felt like a lame stereotype creeping its way into the movie. Pedro Pascal plays the Roman general Acacius. Pedro is another actor whose star is quickly rising, although this is only the third thing I've seen him in. I liked how Pedro carried himself throughout the film. He had this kind of honorable presence. He gave more expression through his lines, though his accent was also a little odd. Pedro still had some moments of staring, albeit fewer. Connie Nielsen returns as Lucilla, daughter of Marcus Aurelius. She is one of two actors to return from the original film, the other being Sir Derek Jacobi, who plays Gracchus. Connie has this regal beauty that I found mesmerizing. Her presence would command my attention, though sometimes it was wasted. I found her performance to be strangely muted, especially in scenes of great importance. It often felt like she was ornamental. And finally, we have Joseph Quinn and Fred Hettinger, who play the twin emperors Geta and Caracalla. These two are the best acted characters for me in the film. I think it's because they were meant to be eccentric and violent. This allowed the actors to really let loose and made their performances much more enjoyable. As you can tell from my description of the actors, I had a big issue with a lot of the performances. I left this movie feeling nothing, and that should not happen on an epic fantasy movie of this scale. The action sequences were great, and the emotion was in those scenes, but when it came to the dialogue, it just fell mostly flat. The lines being said should have had far more gravitas. Character interactions were dull. They said the lines with what should have been emotion, but it wasn't convincing at all. Plus, there were multiple times where characters would give these monologues that felt bloated and cliche. It would go from edge-of-my-seat action to borderline boredom. The story follows Lucius. He is a prisoner of war after the Roman army, led by General Acacius, conquers his home. His wife is also killed in the attack. He is forced to fight for his life in a battle royale against baboons and trained fighters. It is here that Macrinus takes interest in him, purchases him, and trains him to become a gladiator. Lucius plots for revenge, and Macrinus plots for political power. As you would expect, all roads lead to Rome and the Colosseum. It is here that we are introduced to the rest of the cast. There are some great battles and long conversations. There was a character reveal here that I didn't quite understand, considering that I didn't see the original movie. We have multiple visions of the river Styx and the afterlife, and frankly, it got a little bit repetitive. In the end, Lucius is left with some hard decisions to make. Will he and the Roman Empire survive? I think the strongest part of this movie is the visual impact. I have to hand it to Ridley Scott, all the plasterers, the carpenters, and everyone who worked on this film for the visual feast that they gave us. The large-scale sets are beautiful. There is great detail throughout the film. The wardrobe was astounding, though I was surprised at how clean everybody's outfits were, even though they were walking through dusty streets. It was nice to look at these great outfits while the characters delivered their stunted dialogue. There was never a lack of things to look at and appreciate. This also led to some outstanding action sequences. Hand-to-hand combat felt heavy, ship warfare intense. If you're looking for an enjoyable action experience, this is it. Definitely a film for the big screen. There wasn't a single fight that I did not like. There was less gore than I was expecting though, but that makes it more approachable for a wider audience. Now I guarantee you will hear people cry about the CGI in this movie. Personally, I think it's because it's popular to hate things for fun, especially for internet clout. The CGI used in this film is perfectly fine, and in some cases, great. The thing is, people don't notice the good CGI. They only focus on the bad. For me, some of the CGI animals didn't work. The baboons looked like demonic skins layered over motion capture actors. They were terrifying, but they didn't quite work. It's similar for the CGI sharks, it just wasn't up to snuff. I thought the CGI rhinoceros looked good though. Honestly, I know that there's probably tons of CGI used to reconstruct the Colosseum in Rome, but it's not noticeable. And that's a good thing. It was an immersible experience that you should see for yourself. There was one fact that really annoyed me, and it's not exclusive to just Gladiator 2. In the past decade or so, I've noticed a lot of films are starting to shoot nighttime scenes in the daylight, and then they use filters or CGI to make them appear to be night. The result is often this blue tone scene that to me just looks fake. Let me show you what I mean. Now as you can see, it is daylight, sun shining, but by using the day to night filter on my computer, I can give you the illusion of nighttime. I have used this effect in the past, and that's fine because I'm just a YouTuber. I'm not a Hollywood director, yet. If you were to watch a film from 20 years ago, things were often filmed at night. The shadows are stronger, the black of night is black. To me, it's more realistic and dramatic. Seeing Lucius ride a horse at night, but being able to see the entire countryside is weird. The year is 211. It should be quite dark outside. This probably isn't a deal breaker for anyone, and most people probably won't even notice. But for me, it breaks the immersion, and I'm pulled out of the film. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of this review, I did not see Gladiator 1 prior to seeing Gladiator 2. So I am not judging Gladiator 2 through the nostalgia goggles that other reviewers are. So my score for Gladiator 2 without seeing the original film is about a 7 out of 10. It's a beautiful action movie with okay and borderline bad dialogue. But after I watched the original movie the next day, that score is gonna tumble a bit. And my main reason for that is because the movies are so similar. I mean, it's treading on remake territory. I was flabbergasted. Let me give you a quick story recap of all the similarities. Both Maximus from the original and Lucius from the second movie experience a tragic loss. They both have a fondness for touching grain. They both are sold into slavery and eventually become gladiators. Both find success due to their military backgrounds. Both have a black comrade on this journey. Both have unhelpful bosses. Both have plans for revenge, but see the bigger picture. Both fight wild animals. Both have a friend that helps spread their message. The emperors are all crazy, and there's some other similarities that I won't say just because they would spoil some of the surprises. The stories are insanely similar, but both have amazing visuals. Great costumes, sets, wardrobes, and yes, questionable CGI usage. The battles are crazy epic in both, very entertaining. But the original just has more heart. I actually felt for the characters more. It was more epic. Plus, it had actual nighttime scenes. But you have to remember, these movies are 24 years apart. That's an entire generation. If you haven't seen the original in the past couple years, you probably won't pick up on as many of the similarities as I did. It'll probably feel more like a sequel that mirrors the original as opposed to a step-by-step remake. So what does all this mean? For me, as someone who watched both these movies back to back, it means that the sequel doesn't do enough to stand on its own. All the amazing visuals and spectacular action can't make up for the lack of heart. And that is why I'm giving Gladiator 2 the unimpressed Emperor score of 5.5 out of 10. I know that sounds like a really low score for a movie that I keep praising for being beautiful. And if you're watching this movie as part of your Glicked weekend with the movie Wicked, I think you're still gonna have a great time. I still think it's worth the viewing in theaters simply for the visuals. The story is enough to keep you involved until the next battle. And if you haven't seen the original recently, I think you'll enjoy the second one more. So did you see the Regal mystery movie Gladiator 2? If so, tell me all about it in the Colosseum comment section down below. And if you were entertained by my review, please like and subscribe for more crowd and rapturing content just like this. And I will leave you with this simple message. Vincent Omnia Veratus. Truth conquers all. Thank you for watching.